Hello and welcome to another episode of eScoot Talks. In this episode we are finally outdoors, and there are a couple of different reasons for that. So first of all, on yesterday we finally hit 500 subscribers, so thank you so much to everybody who subscribed. Then we are also in Zagreb at Jarun Lake. I actually grew up only 10 minutes walk from here, so decided here to come visit. And every time I come to Zagreb, I actually spend between at least 50 or 100 euros on taxis. So I decided, you know what, I actually just want to get myself a scooter, because for all the short journeys, it's just going to be much better. So I got this off my friend. It's a 1-year-old Ninebot Segway D28E, and it has only 200 kilometers on the clock. It has a really low mileage, but unfortunately it was sitting for almost a year, and the battery unfortunately did degrade quite a lot. Now I'm trying to recover that battery, of course, with now fully charging it and discharging it, and the battery is getting a little bit better, but I'm also doing some other tweaks. So in this episode I'm just going to go quickly through the scooter itself. And then I'm going to share some of my tips and tricks actually how to get the maximum out of this scooter. So first of all, it's the 28 model. It's not the 38 model that I would prefer. So 28 means 28 kilometers per full charge. Of course, that 28 kilometers per full charge is in eco mode, and it's with 70 kilo rider. I'm not 70 kilos, so I'm not going to get that. It has 3 power settings, 3 speed modes: Eco, Drive and Sport. Eco is 15 kilometers per hour, Drive and Sport are both 25 kilometers per hour. Just Sport is supposed to be a little bit more torquey, but with those pretty weak motors, you're not going to feel much of a difference. Overall, pretty nice scooter. Front motor, yes, it's good and it's bad at the same time, because majority of weight is on the rear wheel. Front motor can sometimes be a little bit slippery, but luckily these scooters are not too torquey. If the motor was on the rear wheel, it would be more energy efficient and it wouldn't get slippery on the wet roads or whatever, but majority of your weight is on a rear wheel. So you don't want to have a motor on the rear wheel, just to basically make it easier to replace inner tubes, to fix punctures and everything. If you have a motor on the rear wheel, then that can be a bit tricky. On this scooter, we have a rear drum brake. We don't have a disc brake. Now, rear drum brake can still be a tiny bit of a tricky. It's just going to be, it will be a little bit easier to take off a wheel if there is a disc brake. But the drum brake has advantages, because what lots of people do is when they stop at the traffic light, they squeeze a brake and just hold it there. So majority of those budget scooters, they have a single piston brake calipers, where only one piston is actually actively moving and another one is passive. So basically every time you're braking, you're actually pushing your disc with one brake pad to another brake pad, and you're technically kind of bending it all the time. So while your wheel is spinning, that's kind of okay, but if you stop at the traffic light and if your brake pads are, quite worn out, you'll be bending that disc quite a lot. So because of that, these drum brakes are actually a little bit better. They don't perform when it comes to braking the same way as disc brakes, but still you're not going to be doing 100 kilometers per hour on it. Anyways, as I said, maximum speed is 25 kilometers per hour. I watch constantly where I'm driving, and I'm getting ready for everything. If there are some cars or something in the way where something or some kid could run out, of course I'm going to slow down, and that's it. Folding mechanism like on Xiaomi, second generation of Xiaomi, so pretty simple and easy to fold down. One thing that I do actually really like about this scooter is location of the charging port. I absolutely love this location for the charging port. Everything else kind of basically, pretty similar to all the other budget scooters. Headlight, nice headlight, nice and big taillight, pretty big mudguard with a metal mudguard support. So the only downside for me personally is range, because I want a little bit of a longer range. Yeah, also motor cables actually are kind of quite nice. The only thing I would maybe prefer this actually motor cable hole maybe to be here, so that the cable is not sticking out that much. But yeah, everything else pretty nice and simple. So as I said, scooter is a year old. It had 207 kilometers on the clock. Now it has something like 260. Last couple of days I'm using it. It's just that I didn't had a nice enough weather to make a video. I don't drive it in sport mode. I drive it in drive mode, and I do get a little bit of a more range. If I'm not in a rush, I would use it in eco mode. And in eco mode, actually, I did realize that I'm actually getting quite, like I'm not gonna get 28 kilometers, but I could maybe get 20 kilometers. So I'm gonna try and do a test, range test in eco mode on it. I'm just not 100% sure that I'll have time to record it, but I'll try and do it. If I do, I'm gonna put a result somewhere here to let you know. So yeah, this is actually kind of basically it regarding this scooter. As I said, buying a second-hand scooter, so it's not the best option. If the scooter is 1 year old, if like not having any kilometers on it doesn't mean too much, because if you started using a battery, charge it a couple of times, and then you don't charge it for quite a while, sometimes it can even happen that your scooter doesn't even turn on anymore. Because if last time, you know, before you put it away, if you didn't charge it, that's it. In a user manual for this scooter, actually it says that if you don't charge battery in between 120 and 180 days, it might not turn on, because in a standby it might just completely drain the battery, and if it goes into under voltage, the BMS is going to cut out to prevent any fire or whatever, and you won't be able to charge your scooter. So buying a second-hand scooter, if it's way too old, even if it doesn't have too much over kilometers, that doesn't mean that it's worth like new. No, unfortunately not. And if there is a way to negotiate with the owner to try a scooter for a couple of days to see what you're actually getting, that would be your best option. Or otherwise, you might just consider that at some stage you might need to replace that battery, especially if scooter is a couple of years old. Like on Xiaomi's, for example, battery is going to last easily up to 5 years. Okay. On Ninebots, unfortunately, first ES series of Ninebots are not that much on the road anymore, because they have just way too many problems with the solid tires. So most of them are actually broken. So we don't, at least I don't have an info how long they last. Kugos, I don't think I know any Kugo that lasts more than 2 years. It really depends on the brand, you know. Okay, so before we sign off, you might have a couple of questions. So if you're going to Croatia, for example, to Zagreb, is it legal to use electric scooters here? Yes, electric scooters in Croatia are legalized, so they are treated basically like bicycles. The limit is 25 kilometers per hour, and you have to wear a helmet. Now, at the moment of the recording, it's not that the police is chasing everyone. If you don't ride like an absolute idiot, or if you're not on a super powerful scooter zipping around town like crazy, in most cases, if you respect other road users, they probably won't bother you too much. Like I'm here now using this scooter for like 5 days, and I don't have a helmet. I didn't buy one because I have plenty of helmets at home. I just forgot to bring any of them with me. But yeah, you can use a scooter here, just be respectful for other road users. Now, one interesting fact about Zagreb. So if you come to Zagreb, you get your hands on a scooter and you decide to use it to go around town. That can be a little bit tricky, because you're probably going to try and use Google Maps. Unfortunately, at the moment of the recording, on a Google Maps, if you select, you know, to go anywhere in Zagreb, and you want to select a bicycle, because that's kind of the closest vehicle to this Like, of course, there is no electric scooter option to select on Google Maps. I'm quite surprised because electric scooters are out there for 5 years already. But again, I understand that, like, yeah, you can just use a bicycle as a mode of transport. But yeah, unfortunately in Zagreb, Google's not going to show you any directions. Like there is no cycle lanes. There are cycle lanes, not as much as like in Dublin, but quite a lot. Okay, there's still lots of roads where there is no cycle lanes, but you have signs where the cyclists are this on the roads where it's designated for a cyclist to use side of the road to cycle. There's actually one pretty interesting thing as well. I'm gonna put a picture here somewhere. Zagreb apparently has a greenway. Well, not Zagreb. It's apparently there's supposed to be 130-kilometer greenway from Croatian-Slovenian border Bregana all the way to Ivanja Rijeka, and that's supposed to be 130-kilometer long greenway, but it actually doesn't exist. The table is there. Okay, there is a sign about the greenway, but the greenway is still not built. Why? It is pretty confusing, and I really don't understand, like, why do you put a sign for something that doesn't exist? But yeah, that's probably a question that you should ask Zagreb mayor. Hopefully they're gonna make it. They're talking about it for a while, so hopefully that's gonna happen, because it's supposed to go on the side of the river Sava, and it should look absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that's gonna be all for this episode, guys. I'm gonna probably take some shots and put them at the end of the video, just to show you how beautiful this Jaron Lake is and how beautiful some parts of Zagreb are. So yeah, I think that's gonna be all for this episode. I hope you liked the video. I hope you maybe considered subscribing. Till next time, please stay safe out there, and of course in Zagreb or anywhere, if you don't want to have a problem with police or Garda, please respect other road users. Bye bye.